Marcos urged to return mandatory ROTC, CAT, and scouting. A party list lawmaker on Thursday called on President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. to make the Reserve Officers Training Corps or ROTC mandatory for colleges and universities. Duterte Youth Representative Lucille Cardema said aside from the return of the mandatory ROTC, the Citizen Army Training or CAT should also be made mandatory for high schools and scouting for elementary schools, as she asked Marcos to include this proposal in his first State of the Nation address on Monday. From 2002 to 2022, Congress failed to pass into law the many measures of its return. We hope the President can include it in his SONA and make ROTC, CAT, and scouting an urgent measure in this administration, Cardema said in a statement. Cardema said Marcos could also temporarily issue an executive order for the return of mandatory ROTC, which said is very timely now before the start of classes. She cited Singapore as an example, wherein its national service inculcated discipline and professionalism among all their male citizens and helped transform their small city-state into a first-world country. In South Korea, she noted all boys, including movie stars and sons of tycoons and politicians, are all required to serve in the front lines for 2 years, which gives a sense of pride of military preparedness among all male citizens. She said Israel has a well-trained citizens army because of its mandatory military training of all Israeli citizens. The population or human resource of the Philippines is far bigger than that of Singapore, Israel, and South Korea. We are a disaster-prone archipelago that is battered annually by an alphabet of typhoons, floods with a consistent earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, and a communist insurgency which we want to end during this administration, she said. With the return of mandatory ROTC, CAT, and scouting, we will be orienting the millions of youth now to become a better generation of Filipino citizens, trained in a disaster preparedness, good citizenship, national defense, and in promoting a strong sense of nationalism in all schools, communities, and throughout the entire country, she added. Vice President Sara Duterte has been hoping that the revival of ROTC will be included in Marcos Jr.'s priority legislative agenda. During the campaign, Duterte, who is also the designated Department of Education Secretary, vowed to push for mandatory military service for Filipinos aged 18 years old if she wins as Vice President.